Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A and LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, fam, I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. Alright, fam, before we get this episode rolling, just a couple of disclaimers. I do not sell firearms, nor do I promote the sale of firearms or accessories or anything that would constitute a violation of YouTube community guidelines. Any reviews that I do on firearms or accessories are just that. They are for review purposes only. And if I reference the gun manufacturer or the company that happened to supply the product, I am just referencing that for disclosure purposes. All right? Now, fam, look. If you are not a member of the 2A in LA fam club, I do not know what you are doing at this point in time. As a member of the fan club, you receive unreleased content. You receive content early. You become automatically eligible for all the giveaways that we do in our bi-weekly live streams, fam. Look. I believe I offer some of the best giveaway opportunities on YouTube. So make sure you're a member of the fam club. It's only $2.99 a month. Just click on that join button down below. And if you are interested in any of the 2A in LA merchandise, just hit that QR code in the corner. You see it. You see it right there. That will take you to the 2A in LA channel. Also, you can sign up to participate in a lot of our giveaways there. So make sure you hit that QR code. All right, that's it. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, fam, let's jump into this episode. So look, we got a good one today. If you guys have been following the channel, you guys know that my 2011 journey kind of started with Staccato. I first picked up the Staccato P. I then picked up the Staccato C2, and then I picked up the Staccato XE. And then I upgraded all three of those guns, something crazy, partnering with Monsoon Tactical, Vulcan Machine Works, and Skip's Guns, right? And those guns are phenomenal. I'll put some pictures up there if I can, right? So when they dropped the HD series kind of at this past year's SHOT Show in January 2025, I gotta say, I thought the guns were very staccato-ish. Obviously, they had the drop-safe triggers in them. They had Glock magazines, but for the most part, they shot and felt like Staccatos, right? I did feel like the trigger wasn't quite as good as in my out-of-the-box C2P or XC, certainly, but not bad. And I didn't have any issues relative to the Glock magazines. I thought the guns were accurate, reliable, all of that. I just didn't see, they didn't call me specifically because I already owned a C2, a P, and an XC. And so, but I felt like if you're a California resident who had been jonesing for a Staccato, you didn't want to pay the 200% markup that you would have to pay in the private party market here in California to get one, this was an excellent opportunity for you. I also felt like if you were a law enforcement officer who was unable to carry a 2011 on duty because of the drop safe issue, now you had an opportunity to get in there at a very relatively affordable price. So I felt like those were the target audiences for like the P4 and the P4.5. But when they dropped the Staccato C3.6, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I felt like this could be the gun that was everybody's gun. And I had this issue. Look, you guys know I've been called the 2011 King. I'll humbly take that title. But I would say this, that I have been in the hunt for a long time, for some years, for a really good quality, lightweight, short-barreled, like sub 4-inch 2011 carry gun. And I did have the C2, and that was and is one of my primary carry pistols. But the C2 is kind of chunky. It's 3.9 inches, so much closer to 4-inch than 3. And I was like, you know, it was cool. Then Cosent dropped my the Cosent 3.5 inch, and I thought that gun was amazing, and it quickly became my favorite concealed carry gun. But obviously the Cosent is more expensive. That gun runs right around $4,000. Most people are not going to carry a $4,000 pistol to conceal carry. So when Staccato came with the C3.6, I was like, oh, 3.6 inch barrel, lightweight carry, Staccato coming in about $2,500. This is probably something we should take a look at on the channel. This is not my personal gun. This gun was provided to the channel for review purposes only by 2A Zone. So shout out to 2A Zone for allowing us to test this gun and bring this review to you. So look fam, as you saw at the beginning of the video, we got this gun out, we shot it. I put a lot of rounds through it to really kind of test the reliability, to test the feel, to get a sense of it. And it was what you would expect, in my opinion, from a Staccato. With that said, why don't we try to jump into the review? Alright, if you've never seen a 2A NLA review, it works like this. 0 is hot garbage, the worst possible gun in the history of mankind. 100 is the best possible gun in the history of mankind, but it's also very affordable. I've never had a gun get a 0, never had a gun get 100. One can always hold out hope. If you've got something that's kind of 50 to 60, that's a right down the middle gun. Gonna go bang every time. Just not a lot of feels and thrills. Think your Glock 17 Gen 5 MOS, right? If you got something that's kind of 60 to 70, that gun has a feature or two that kind of separates itself from the main. Think like your Walther PDP, for instance. If you got something that's like 70 to 80, okay, now you're doing well. Now you've got a gun that has multiple features that distinguish itself, multiple qualities, and particularly shootability that really steps the gun up in class. If you got something 80 to 89, okay, now we're starting to get in best in class guns, particularly like 85 to 89. And if you got something that's 90 or above, grail gun status right there. All right, fam, up first, fit and finish. Let's kind of talk about it. So look, steel frame, steel slide, polymer grip, textured well. The gun is very grippy, I would say. Obviously, we'll get into the ergonomics of the gun, but look, Staccato does what Staccato does. They make a really good gun. So again, polymer grip, polymer trigger shoe. You'll notice that the grip safety is deleted, which was not the case on a lot of the like Staccato C2, the P, and the XC models. So Staccato is starting to come around and get that that is not a feature that most people are looking for on a gun, especially when you've already got kind of ambi thumb safeties there. So there's that. The gun is heavily sprung. That said, the gun is not ported or anything like that. So I don't know what the spring weight in here is, but it's kind of heavily sprung. That said, incredibly reliable. Really consistent ejection patterns as well, so that part is good. You've got a forward optic that sits in front of the red dot. I like that. Now the plate that I just threw on there already had like a rear sight, so you can ignore that. If this were my personal gun, if I didn't just do this setup for testing purposes, I would have had an optic plate that eliminated the rear sight. But I think that's good. Look, I'll put up the specs for the Staccato up there so you can have them, but I will tell you, all in all, I felt like it was well done. For fit and finish, we're going to give the Staccato C 3.6 a 13 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, reliability. We often joke and say Staccato was the Glock of the 2011 space, and you know that is meant to be a compliment. Staccatos are very, very reliable guns, consistent guns, good running gun. I probably put just around 1,000 rounds through this little guy and had zero malfunction. It took all the ammo. I ran 115, 124, 147, even put some jacketed hollow points through it. Ate it up, spit it out, no issues. For reliability, we're going to give it a 14 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, durability. I think Staccato makes a durable gun. Obviously, again, you got that polymer grip, polymer trigger shoe. Not going to be as durable as an all-metal gun if it was an aluminum or a steel grip, obviously. But I've had, like I said, I own 3 Staccatos. They have held up very, very well, all 3 of them. And I've had all of them now for some years and have thousands of rounds through it. Like I said, 1,000 rounds through this, virtually no wear showing anywhere. They do a very good job for durability. We're going to give the gun a 13 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, trigger. So look, I kind of already mentioned that it's got that polymer trigger shoe. I would certainly prefer a metal trigger shoe. It's got the rounded face. I prefer a flat face trigger. That said, I'm not penalizing it for those things. You've got a relatively short take up, as you can see right there. You're at the wall. It's clean and defined. Crisp, clean break, reset, short reset. So look, this trigger is very much dependent upon like kind of what lens that you're looking at it through. If you're coming from the polymer striker fire world, you're gonna think this trigger is amazing. Amazing. If you're used to shooting kind of high-end competition style pistols like I am, that have sub 2 pound trigger pulls where a 2.5 pound trigger pull feels heavy, then this is gonna feel terrible. This is going to feel terrible. I'll put the trigger weight up there, but it's a heavier pull weight. That said, that for a carry pistol, which is what I would consider this to be, that may not be a bad thing, right? So look, Trigger is not terrible. It's not phenomenal. It's somewhere in between. For trigger, we're going to give this an 11 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, accuracy. We did do some accuracy testing. I think I shot from about 20 yards unassisted, and I got relatively tight groups. What I would say is, look, this is a 3.6 inch carry gun. This is not a competition pistol. I don't think you should expect competition level accuracy. I also would say that when I'm doing this standing unassisted, you're not going to get true barrel accuracy. I'm just trying to get a sense of somewhat of the barrel accuracy, somewhat of the shootability, the combination of the two when I'm talking about accuracy here. So look, I think for a 3.6 inch carry gun, the gun was accurate. For accuracy, we're going to give it an 8 out of a possible 10. Next up, ergonomics. How does the gun feel in the hand? I mentioned it's a polymer grip. Now, generally speaking, I think common knowledge is that, or the common viewpoint, if you will, is that aluminum and steel grips are better quality than polymer grips. And I would say that's true in terms of kind of durability and wear. From that perspective, that's on point. But I will say that sometimes some people like the feel of a polymer grip. If they find that because it has a little bit more flex, it's easier to kind of impose your kind of grip strength onto the gun to manage the recoil better. I think there's something to that. I also think for a carry gun, to have a polymer grip, to have the gun be lighter when it's on your body all day long, I think there's something to be said for that as well. I've got pretty big hands, as you can see here. The grip is, my pinky finger is right at the bottom of that grip. I probably would like a little bit longer grip, but I think it's reasonable. And most people's hands are not as big as mine, so chances are this would likely work out just fine for you. So look, ergonomics, I think the gun is solid. Again, we're going to give it 8 out of a possible 10. All right, these next two categories, we're going to put them together, and that is aftermarket support and maintenance and upkeep. Look, there's a ton of aftermarket support in the 2011 space. Is it where Glock is now? No, but it's getting there. It's getting there. As I give it a couple more years, it probably will be there. More and more parts are becoming available and coming online. More and more individuals who have expertise to support the space are coming online than ever before. Relative to maintenance and upkeep, it's a 2011. Break it down every 1,000 rounds or so. Clean it out, or do a light clean after every range session, and you'll be 100% fine. So look, for aftermarket support, we're going to give it a 4 out of 5, and for maintenance and upkeep, we're going to give it a 4 out of a possible 5. All right, next up, affordability. I will put the retail price, the MSRP up there so you can check it out. It's coming in right around $2,500. I think that is very consistent with the other offerings that you have seen from Atlas, whether that is the other HD guns, the HD P4, the P45, the C, the P, and so that's where kind of Staccato has lived for most of their time, other than the XL, which is a little bit more expensive, and the XC, which is like the most expensive of their guns. The vast majority of their offerings are right around that, kind of $2,250 to $3,000 price point. This gun is no exception. I think it is, although expensive, in the 2011 space, it's reasonably priced, right? And so for affordability, I think the gun is in reach of most people. We're going to give it a 4 out of a possible 5 for affordability. All right, fam, last but not least, flex. Look, fam, there was a time in my journey when owning a Staccato in itself was a flex, period, right? I think as the 2011 market has expanded, as other kind of mid-tier guns have come in, and on the other end, more budget-friendly guns. I think the flex of owning the Staccato, while it's still there, it doesn't have that luster that it used to have. Maybe at the XC level, but I think it's still a phenomenal gun. It's a phenomenal company. If you have a Staccato, and I have several, then I think you should be proud of whatever you own, without a doubt. But for flex, we're going to give it a 2 out of a possible 5. All right, fam, when you add all of that up, you get an 81 out of a possible 100. It doesn't surprise me that they're kind of, whether it's the P4, which I reviewed, the C2, the P, the XC, all of those guns kind of flex between kind of 81 and 84 out of the box on the scale. It's not surprising that the 3.6 is right there as well. I gotta say that I like this pistol. I found it to be, look, it's a 3.6 inch gun. It's a little snappy. It's a little snappy, but not as snappy as I was anticipating it to be. And, you know, there's certain things that you can do to this gun to address the snappiness. I think it's only a matter of time before you start seeing these guns having various porting packages and all kinds of aftermarket work done to them to elevate the gun to another level. But if I was considering, if I didn't already have my quotient 3.5, I would definitely be considering this as a carry option. Again, lightweight, relatively small, but you can still get a good grip on the gun to control it. It's a Staccato, so you know it's going to be reliable. It's going to run. Yeah, I would definitely be considering the Staccato C3.6. All right, fam, that's it for this episode. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.